It is definitely super easy to get caught up in your head and to think about, oh my gosh, I want to be here and I'm here right now, but where I want to go feels so far away. And honestly, the key to closing that gap is always showing up. When you always show up, you will eventually get there. It's just going to take some time. I want to welcome you all back to another episode of the Reflection Hour with your host, Sydney. So, I was thinking about this because, in a lot of ways, I think that I overthink absolutely fucking everything, which is probably most people. I mean, honestly, I don't really know. I'm only in my brain, I'm not in anyone else's brain. So, hopefully everybody is not overthinking as much as I am because it can be a bit paralyzing at times. I won't lie to you. And it can stop you from taking the actions that you know are necessary for you to actually close the gap as to where you're envisioning yourself at a future date. Or maybe you're tapping into that energy today and you can clearly see the visualizations in your mind. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't exactly know how I'm going to get there, but I have a general sense of how it feels and what that scene looks like that I'm really tapping into. And I think where I kind of stop myself in a lot of ways is that I look around at my current situation and I'm like, I'm not there yet. And it almost discourages me sometimes from actually putting in the actions that are helping me to create that vision. And I find that kind of happening right now in the sense that I know how I want my life to look. I know where I want to be living, like the kind of lifestyle that I want to be living, but it's just not the case yet. And I think oftentimes, especially now, I'm like, damn, I saw this TikTok and it was like, I'm trans financial. Like, I'm a rich girl stuck in a poor person's body right now. And it's kind of funny because I would never call myself poor because I think then you're like identifying with something that is not going to help you, right? But I would definitely say that my finances aren't exactly where I would love them to be yet, but I know that I'm on the path to getting there. And I think if you have a certain level of taste, like that's not for no reason whatsoever. Like that is for a reason because maybe in a parallel reality, you're already living that life and you're just catching up to that reality. Actually, speaking of which, this morning, as I was laying in my bed, because today is Sunday morning, I like to listen to frequencies and stuff when I go to sleep. And one of the things or like subliminals that I put on my cue when my regular subliminals were done in the morning is that it's this sleep psychic or physicist guy who tells these different stories as you're kind of in that liminal like theta state, and it's kind of cool. So this one was called What If a Parallel Universe Version of You is Aware of You? And I think about these things when I think about just certain choices that I've made or I haven't made. And it's like this video is talking about how in your reality, you made a choice and it turned out to be this specific way. But in an alternate universe, you made a different choice and your life went a different way. So it's like everything is always happening at once all the time. I'm pretty sure there was a movie called that. And it's just very interesting to ponder. And some of my interests that I've had in my life, I do wonder, at least right now, as I'm thinking about it, what life would have been like if I went down that path. Obviously, I didn't go down that path for a reason, but it's just kind of interesting to think about. And you can't think about it too much because I think you'll probably go a bit wacko because you could just go down all sorts of possibilities and infinite realities. But ultimately, the one that you chose is the one that you're living. And why? Like, why did you choose to live this current reality right now? I don't know. Like, what's going on? I do think about those things. And like, I remember in 2023, 24, for whatever reason, I had this intense bug to create all this music. And I was like crafting this character, Arachne, and she was a rock star and all this stuff. And for a while, it really felt like, oh my gosh, like I need to be a superstar musician, right? I really felt that. And then all of a sudden, it kind of passed. And I haven't made music since. But I find it really interesting because in that moment, it felt so real to me. And I wonder if that was me setting up an alternate universe of myself that actually was this superstar musician. And it's kind of cool to think about. I also remember there was this other time, like back in 2020, when I first started creating content online, and I had a podcast, and someone actually reached out to me about helping me really get set up with my podcast. They were going to invest money in it and everything. But at the time, I was definitely more into politics. And so that was one of the ways that they found me. They heard one of my videos on politics and they wanted to invest money in me doing that. But then obviously, politics became a bit more cult-like. I mean, I think it's always been cult-like, but then it became this thing where people really didn't want to say that they aligned with certain sides. And so then it was like, oh, well, if we're going to invest this money in you, then you can't say this and you can't say that. And I think ultimately that deal kind of fell through. And I'm really happy that it did because thinking on it now, the money that I was trying to make a deal for and like the percentage that I would have been giving up of my podcast, I can totally see the notion of selling one's soul, right? It's when you give up too large a part of your creations and you basically are allowing someone else to control what you say, control your speech because they are funding it. You know? And I think a lot of times when we're starting out and doing anything, what we really want is for someone to just hand us a check and be like, here's the money already, whatever, right? Like you can be comfortable, you can be good. But I think if you are trying to be comfortable too fast before you've really established a foundation and established like your financial habits and really your sense of self, right? You could be making a deal at a time in your life when that is not prepared for the version of yourself that you're going to grow into later, that is going to feel hindered by a choice that you made with limited information. And so that's why I'm kind of happy about the deals that didn't get done, or when I was out in California and it didn't work out. Like, that was, again, another alternate reality that my life would have been caused to take a different trajectory had I stayed there. And it's just interesting. Even when I think about when I lived in Miami, like that was a completely different time in my life. I mean, I was working for a tech company at that time and it was cool and all, but I was working remote, so I could theoretically work from wherever. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from that is that I actually really enjoy people. I really enjoy working in a setting where I get to interact with people on a regular basis, as opposed to being somewhere virtually and I have no contact with people. Because honestly, I think I am an extrovert. Like I really do get energized by people. I mean, I do work in retail right now. I'm about to start working for Vineyard Vines, which I'm very excited for. I was signing all my stuff today and it was just really cool. I'm very, very excited because, again, I think operations are so amazing. Like if you can really build a strong team and everybody on the team loves to sell, they know that selling is ultimately helping people, okay? Because that's what it is. When someone walks out of the store and they feel amazing, they feel like you just help them with their wardrobe. They feel better, more confident about themselves because of how they're showing up. Like, to me, that is so much fun. And I also really just love the idea of skill stacking and knowing different things and just being able to grow in your skill set and being a Swiss Army knife. Because I think if you go too deep on one thing and you don't know how to like bring the entire picture together, you're not building a moat around yourself. And I just think it's really important to build a moat around yourself. And that's why I think I'm attracted to the different things that I do. I don't even necessarily always know why I like to do certain things, but the things that I do really love, I show up for. Like, I'm showing up for this podcast. And again, I was really getting in my head about it because sometimes you don't really see the effects of your actions and what they're doing and the butterfly effects that they have on other happenings in your life. And you can't really see what's going on beneath the surface, but you ultimately do have to trust that you're not putting in the actions that you're putting in for no reason. At some point in time, that plant is going to sprout because you've been watering it. It's been in the ground. It's been getting the water it needs. It's been getting the sun that it needs, okay? You've been talking to it. You've been nurturing it with your energy, your intention, all of this. And that's how I have to think about my career, like in retail. That's how I have to think about this podcast. It's all about showing up. It's all about not allowing yourself to get too caught up in the timeline. I was talking a little bit about this in the previous episodes, I think, or at least that was an episode that I had, an episode idea, like widen your time horizon. Because I think ultimately, if you get too caught up in wanting to see results right now, it can hinder you from continuing to put in those actions, because then you get caught up and you're like, oh my gosh, like what's even the point of me doing this? No one's paying attention to it. I'm not seeing the impact of my actions just yet. But it's like, how long have you been doing the thing for? A month, 2 months, 3 months? Okay, that's really not that long in the grand scheme of things. Try doing it for a year, 5 years, 10 years, okay? There's this guy that I really like on YouTube. His name is Myron Golden. He's a bit of a motivational speaker, but he helps you grow your business and all that stuff, right? And he talks a lot about just putting out information on the internet and how you having a presence online can only help you, right? And he says this because what is the way that you can really maximize the most of your income and all that? You have to have distribution, right? You have to be able to leverage the fact that you have a voice that people know, that people trust, because you've built that trust through the audience that you've built, because you showed up consistently over time. And it's like, once you have people's attention and it's trusted attention, you can then leverage that into other things. So it's like, always work on your own thing while working on other things, and don't necessarily just get a job just to get a job. Like, work for a good company, build your skills, stack your skill set, like do all these things so that you can just set yourself up and always be self-reliant, right? Like, you are the CEO of you. It doesn't matter if you have a W-2 and you work for a company and they're doing these things. At the end of the day, you are the CEO of you. And if you don't think like the CEO of your life, well, then you can't really expect for it to go in the direction that you would like, because you're not even really taking responsibility and seeing that it doesn't really matter what company you work for. It is up to you and the work that you put into your life that determines how your life turns out. And this is why I believe that regardless of where I am working, I'm always going to show up and show out, because it's not about the other company. Like, it's about me, and it's about the pride that I have in myself, the trust that I have in myself, the confidence that I have in myself, the confidence that I build through the competence that I gain as a result of showing up and doing the thing, even when I don't feel like doing the thing. And that's the key. Like, you can't think too much about how you feel about anything. You literally just have to do it. And that's why Nike's slogan, "Just Do It," is so perfect. You literally just have to do it. Stop thinking about it so much. Like, who cares? Just stop with the excuses. I was actually telling one of my colleagues the other day, she was like giving some excuses about something, and I was like, honestly, you can't have excuses. That's a lesson for life, right? Like, I get it. This was going on, whatever. But at the end of the day, you can't have excuses. You can't allow yourself to tune into the excuses and allow them to be the decider of you doing something or you not. You have to decide that you're going to do it, and do it regardless of how you feel about it. That's how you have to be. And being like that means that you will always win, because you're not going to allow something to get in the way and stop you from doing what you know you told yourself that you're going to do. One of the little hacks that I like to do the night before work, and usually like the night before a day, is I like to think at night what I'm going to do when I wake up. So usually during the week when I have work in the morning, I know that I have to be there at whatever time, like whether it's 9:30 or 11:30, I know I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to go on a walk or I'm going to go on a run. And then after that, I'm going to do an exercise video. And then after that, I'm going to take a shower and eat something for breakfast. And then I'm going to go to work. And it's like the night before, I kind of decide, am I going to do a run or am I going to do a walk? And then I know roughly like, oh, I'm going to do a exercise video that's focused on full body or focus on arms or focus on lower body, whatever it is, right? But I prepare, or I just prepare to do that in the morning so that I don't have to think about what I'm going to do. It's something that I planned the night before. So it makes it so that I am making less decisions first thing in the morning. And I think a lot of people do have decision fatigue because they don't have a routine as to what they're going to be doing, right? And I think one of my biggest issues, honestly, when I was working for SoulCycle, even though in a lot of ways I really did love it, my schedule was different every single day, to the point where I couldn't have a consistent schedule. Because if one day I'm waking up at this time and I have to be there, another day I have to wake up at this time and be there, another day I have to wake up at this time, because pretty much every single day of the 5 days that I was there during the week, it was a different time that I had to be there every single day. So you can't really build a schedule on that. And my entire nervous system was all out of whack. And I think one of the things that I've been doing, that at least that I can consciously see at this moment in time, is that I've been looking to get into like a company where I have a consistent schedule for the most part every single day, and I can really build a routine so that I can build other things into my life, like doing this podcast on a weekly basis. Because again, I want to have leverage in my life. I always want to have options. And in all honesty, I do have options. I have multiple options for myself right now. Why? Because I created those options through the actions that I've taken and how I've set myself up. And I'm just really happy with starting Vineyard Vines soon, because my schedule is just going to be that much better and I'm going to be paid more. And I just know that this is a reflection of the work that I've been doing internally. And to be honest, that feels so fucking awesome. And I know that I did it. And today, as I was going through the papers that I have to sign and all that whenever you start a new job, and I was reflecting on where I want to go and where I'm at right now, I really had to stop myself, because I think I was starting to be like, oh my gosh, well, I really want to be here, whatever. And I was like, no, wait, but like, actually be proud of yourself because look at what you're doing. Look at the actions that you've taken and how your life is literally transforming in front of your eyes. And you fucking did that shit. You put in the work to do that. It's changing, okay? Like things are changing, things are improving, life is getting better, and it always has been getting better. But it's just when you focus on the things that you don't like in your life, it's really hard to see how your life has been on an upward trajectory. And I would say for most people, our lives have been on an upward trajectory, but we get so caught up in the stories on the news or something negative is happening within our social spheres or whatever, like a little annoyance. If you're focusing on all of those things, you are going to not feel great. Okay? Versus if you're focusing on your wins on a daily basis, if you have those routines that are making you feel good, like getting up, working out, drinking your water, doing your meal prep, stuff like that, you will feel so much better. And that's why you have to show up for yourself. You always have to prioritize the things that are pouring into you as opposed to the things and people who are taking from you. And I'm saying this as someone who used to allow people to take from me because I didn't believe that I had anything that was worth protecting. And it's kind of crazy to think that you can grow up and really not believe that you are worth anything. You're worth your care, your time, your attention, your love, but you are. You really are worth all of those things. And when you show up for yourself, it is better for everyone involved. It truly is. And I wish I knew that when I was younger. Like, I really do. But maybe me sharing this can help someone because it can be really hard. You know, like society can be super fucked. But it's like you can't allow that to be an excuse to not show up for yourself. Because if you allow excuses will rule your life. And you will literally never get to where you want to go. You won't. Feel the feelings, but don't allow those feelings to hold you back because they always will. They always will. And I just know I have restarted so many of these different projects ever since 2020 because I would get in my own head and I would also be over ambitious and I wouldn't think about the things that I could integrate into my life on a daily basis that wouldn't feel like this big thing that was impossible and oh my God, how am I going to find the time for this? Or I was super creative at this point in time and I was able to do 3 videos, but this week I'm not feeling that same thing. It's like you have to be smart and you have to schedule things out. And I believe that's self-care too. Like, don't be overly ambitious because I almost feel like sometimes that's kind of a trauma response, right? And it's just not consistent. It's not consistent. And consistency is key. That's why you always have to show up. If you always show up for yourself, it's easy. You don't even think about it because you just always do it. Right? So, food for thought. Food for thought. Some more food for thought that you can think about is showing up for your friends, okay? And actually being a good friend, because I think a lot of people have friends in name, but when it comes to are you truly there for your friend, a lot of people aren't showing up for their friends. But I can't even be mad at them because if you're not showing up for yourself, why would you show up for your friend? You know what I mean? And I see this happen a lot. And this is why I kind of believe that it's smarter to have less friends that you will show up for versus having a lot of friends where you're not really showing up for them. Because if everybody's your friend, they're actually your acquaintance. Like, you're not really friends with them like that. And I don't really call people my friends lightly. Like, I don't think most people are my friends. I think most people are acquaintances. They're people that I get along with, But would I call you my best friend, or would I call you my friend in general? No. Unless you have my number. And even if you have my number, I mean, we're probably still not even close like that. Is that terrible to say? I don't think it is. But the thing is, okay, me personally, I really love to be there for my close friends, which is why I have one at this point in time. And I think that's smart because it means that I'm looking at my own bandwidth and whether or not the system can sustain said bandwidth. And if the system can't sustain said bandwidth, well, I mean, I'm going to have to move on, because if it's you or me, it's going to be me, babe, every single time, because I'm showing up for myself. And I used to be the type of person who would legitimately always show up for other people. But when it came to me showing up for myself, crickets, which is insane. And it's just interesting to see how much my life has changed since I've drastically made that mindset shift. And I would say the biggest result of all of that, or the biggest consequence of all of that, is that I don't nearly have as many friends as I used to. And I'm so happy about that, because I think it can be really draining to keep up with a lot of people. And that's why I'm saying I think most people are really just acquaintances. They're not friends. And yet, especially girls, I mean, that's all I can really talk about. I think girls have this tendency to call everybody their friend. And it's like, babe, like, not everybody's your friend. I'm sorry. Like, not everybody's your friend. Okay. But people can be friendly, but not everybody's your friend. Okay. If your friend isn't hyping you up, if your friend isn't supporting you, if they're not trying to help you in your life because you're also helping them in their life, and this doesn't even necessarily mean that they're paying for shit, but I'm saying, like, are they physically supporting you? When you have good news to share, are they happy for you too? You know? And if they're not, why are you considering this person a friend? Okay? If the only time they show up for you is when you have to physically move your location to be near them, they're not your friend. And I think this is what happened after college. After college is when I started to realize that many of the friendships that I had were not going to make it past college. And it's because when you're at college, you are in the same place as your college friends. Now, once you graduate from college, if you can sustain those friendships and you guys are equally yoked in the sense that you're both making the effort to keep up the communication lines, then that's a friend. But if it's only one person putting in all the effort and the other person is just kind of receiving all the love, all the attention, all the this, all the that, and you're not really getting anything out of the equation, and actually you're kind of drained, that's not your friend. That's a succubus. That's a succubus, okay? And I feel this way about relationships in general. Like, I'm sorry, I do not want to be with someone who's going to be a succubus. If you're not adding something to my life and I'm not adding something to your life, what are we doing here? And I think so many people are literally bored and are literally lonely and don't know how to be with themselves. And so because they don't know how to be with themselves, they would rather cling to anyone for the sake of just having a body there. And I think that's crazy. Like, that's actually gross. Sorry, not sorry. It's just giving desperate. Like, why are you so desperate to have people around you? I don't get it. At one point, I think we've all had that period in our lives where we really wanted to fit in with the crowd. We really wanted to have friends. We really wanted to be going to these parties and doing this and doing that. But I hope you grow out of that at a certain point, because it's very draining in all ways. Spiritually, emotionally, financially. Did I say emotionally? Emotionally, spiritually, financially, mentally. That was the last one. It's all very draining. And it's like, is it worth it? Like, what is you being in this person's life actually doing? If you're not growing as a result of being in friendship, relationship with this person, you should not be in that relationship. Whether it's platonic or romantic. Like, get out. See the warning signs now. Okay? And it's always so interesting when you have a friend or you have a family member who is going through something with their partner. And I'm only saying that because, like, I have a family member who's kind of doing that, or I guess they're not partners anymore. But anyway, and you're like, damn, like, you guys, like, definitely need to break up or something. But everybody is on their own timeline. So you can't be telling people what they should be doing with their lives in that regard. You really just have to let people go through it. Just like I know that I had to go through a lot of things. And looking back on it, I'm like, wow, that person was right. That person was right. But you can't tell the person going through it in the moment that it'll suck later, because it sucks now, right? You got to have some empathy. And I work on that because sometimes I think I can be a bit quick to cut a bitch off. I will. I do not care. Looked at me the wrong way, cut off. Sneezed before sneezed at an inconvenient time in front of me when I was about to go do something, cut off. I'm obviously being hyperbolic here because I don't really mean that. That would be very insane. But unfortunately, I am definitely the type of person to be looking for reasons to cut someone off. Looking for reasons to never talk to someone again. And I'm working on that. I'm really working on that. I'm really proud of myself. I really credit one of my friendships that I have with helping me with that, because before, when I had friendships, I used to really think I was way too much. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm doing too much. Like, I'm being too much of myself. And then this is creating an issue with this person. But now it's not. Now it's going well. And now I just feel so much more secure in myself. And obviously, it's not even the friendship. The friendship is a reflection of how I feel inside of myself. And the fact that I feel so secure in myself and I'm okay with putting myself out there, I'm okay with showing up online and not caring what the hell anybody has to say about it. That takes a lot of confidence. That takes a lot of inner work. It's not easy. Anybody can do it, but most people don't put themselves out online because it's scary. Why is it scary? Because people are constantly concerned about what others have to say about them. And it's like, if you can just always show up, always post, regardless if one person is listening to it or 50 people are listening to it or a whole stadium of people are listening to it. If you can do that, you have the discipline, you have the chutzpah, you can literally accomplish anything. That's the truth. And I've just gotten to this point through the different cycles of me picking up something, then putting it down, picking up something, then putting it down. I've realized over time that so long as you do something consistently and you don't allow the chatter of other people to get inside of your minds, because it literally doesn't matter whatsoever. These people aren't paying your bills, okay? They're not paying your bills. And if they are, no one should have control over what you do in your life. So if someone is paying your bills and they now have this power to tell you how to live your life, is that really the life that you want to be living? I'm actually watching Real Housewives of Rhode Island. I've been really loving that show. I think it's so good. It is so entertaining. And I've just been on a reality TV wave between Summer House, Rhode Island, Atlanta, because Atlanta's back. Atlanta's been so good. Real Housewives of Atlanta has been so good. Love Island is getting ready to come back soon. Like, there's just a lot going on when it comes to reality TV. And I never was super into reality TV like that, but I started to get really into it because I really like Summer House. Like, I started watching it maybe 2 seasons ago, and ever since then I've been locked in. And my sister has been making her way through many of the Real Housewives franchises. I think right now she's on New York, but she made her way through Salt Lake City. Like, we started it together, and then she just took it all the way. I did not, because I have other things to do, to be honest. Sorry, Sam, but that's the truth. And then Rhode Island came out, and I started watching that. I started watching the new season of Atlanta when it came out. So, like, I'm just really on this reality TV wave. I'm a Bravo fan, okay? Not a stan, but a fan. I was also really into Below Deck and all that. My whole point, really, with what I was going to say is that when it comes to the Real Housewives of Rhode Island, it's just so interesting to see the different dynamics of these women and what they have to say about each other, how they show up for themselves or don't show up for themselves, and how they show up for each other. And it's just so interesting to me because I think when it comes to reality TV specifically, it's one of those things where you really do have to have a really good group of people who just genuinely don't give a fuck. And I believe that's a lesson for life. Obviously, the first season is always so good. Well, not always. It depends on the franchise, it depends on the people who are on the show. But I found that the first season of anything when it comes to reality TV is usually so much better because people are so unfiltered. Like, literally, just think about when Jersey Shore was going on, when just a lot of these different shows were going on. They were the only ones. And we didn't have social media back then. So they weren't hyper concerned about how they looked online. And that was personally my issue with the cast from Love Island season 7. They were just too hyper aware of what people online thought about them. Obviously not while they were in the villa. I don't know, kind of while they were in the villa too, because they were doing certain things in the villas because they were hoping that they would be perceived a certain way. And I just don't like that. I don't do that. I act the same way with every single person. I show up as myself all the time. And if someone doesn't like it, I don't really care because I don't need you to pay my bills. I can pay my bills myself. Thankfully. At one point I couldn't, but now I can. And now I'm being smarter with my money and I'm showing up for myself. I'm actually challenging myself right now to not eat out at restaurants because, in all honesty, I just believe that a few weekends of not going out, that's literally a trip to a new country. So I would rather do that. Experience some new restaurants in a new place overseas on an airplane, going on an airplane. That to me makes a lot more sense than being dumb and constantly buying food. Like, do you really think about how much money we waste on food because we are lazy? And just think about that when it comes to life. So often we end up paying for things out of convenience when if we had spent a little more time and were a bit more intentional, we would have had a really great meal, saved money, and we'd be putting money towards a future trip. And that's literally how I'm thinking about it. Like, all today I was thinking about that. I'm like, no, this is a trip. This is a trip. This is me paying off something else, because you can't be so in the moment when it comes to your spending. Like, you have to be a little smarter with your spending. It's so easy to just swipe your card. It's so easy to make it so easy, but I'm showing up for myself. I hope you're showing up for yourself too. And I want more trips. Like, I like trips. I like leaving the country. I like doing all that stuff, but I have to be smart about it because we're a financially savvy baddie over here, okay? We can't be doing stupid shit. Plus, I want to feel good. And if I'm eating bullshit from some restaurant, I don't know what's really going in it. I don't know how much salt's going in it. I don't know, like, if there's seed oils. I don't know if there's any of that shit. And so I would rather just make stuff at home. I'll feel better. I'll bring my little lunchbox with me to work, and it'll just be great. Speaking of work, I'm in the last week of my job before I move on to Vineyard Vines, and I've been having such a good time. Oh my gosh, I got a new set today, or not a new set, but I got a new, I guess it's like a romper thing, or not romper, like I don't really know what it's called. Maybe it's a romper, some sort of like that, or like a onesie. And I got this because the set that I bought that I actually wore today, I tightened it because I needed it to stay up. And I guess I tightened it too much and it freaking broke. Like I was just standing and all of a sudden it broke. And I'm like, wow, that's terrible. That is terrible that this did this. And this is my first time wearing it. So I obviously returned it. We damaged it out. And then I got this onesie, which is so cute. Plus, I was able to get this little cami thing because I still had extra money. And I still made $7 because the set that I originally got was way more. And I was just so happy about that because I'm like, wow, like God is so good. I was eyeing this onesie anyway. I wasn't really loving the set when I had it on today. I was like, I was thinking it wasn't the best purchase. So the fact that all this happened, I'm like, wow, I'm so incredibly divinely protected. I love that. God always shows up for me, even if I don't necessarily understand how that's going to happen. And I have really been resting in that. It's so hard for me to do that in a lot of ways because I want to know how things are going to happen. My ego wants to control so badly, like so badly. I keep talking about this every time I do this podcast. I don't know why I'm doing this podcast. Like, I genuinely have no idea. I came up with this concept, I want to say last year, and I just really love the idea of getting on here and sharing once a week the reflections that I've been having. And I just felt like, you know what? I should just go with it. The reflection hour came to me and it just felt right. It didn't feel like I was going to be bound to talking about one thing specifically. It really felt like I could talk about my life and it was just an all-encompassing name. And that felt really good to me. And ever since then, I've been doing it. But I don't know why I'm doing it. I just know that I got to show up. And, you know, at some point soon, the dots will connect. But for now, it's just a fun way for me to expend some energy and continue to level up and force myself to learn. Well, not force myself, but it gives me another reason to read more and all that because I really did fall out of it. And I think it's because definitely a lot of the people around me who I absolutely love, I have really, really great habits. I have really positive habits like working out, like pouring into myself and actually being disciplined enough to create these podcasts and publish them every week. And me talking about making my food. And I know I'm going to do it because my why is so powerful that I just know I'm going to do it. Like point blank period. It's going to be easy for me. I had a split second today where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get something and then I'm going to go to work and I'll be fine. And then I stopped myself and I really thought, is this the best option for me? Or is there a better option? Is there an option where I can make food for myself? I knew I was already taking lunch because I had put it aside 2 days ago. And I can just go to work and not spend any money and then come home. And when I really played with that idea in my head, it took over. And that's what I did today. And it's not to say that you should be, denying yourself things, but it's like delay the gratification. We live in an instant gratification culture, and I don't think that helps anyone. And it doesn't help your waistline. It doesn't help your bank account. It doesn't help so much. So if you can delay the gratification and you can do things that are contrarian in a lot of ways to what the masses do, you will have a better life. And I've really just been looking at a lot of my habits and thinking about ways in which I have been following the crowd a bit too much, and I need to chill the fuck out because I am an extraordinary person, which means I have to have extraordinary habits. You have to think about your life differently. I'm thinking about my life differently, and that's me showing up for myself. What are you doing? What are you doing in your life? Hopefully it's you showing up for yourself. I hope that's what it is. Anyway, I think I'm done with this podcast now because I could go on and on and on, but you get it. Always show up for yourself. Always show up for the people who show up for you, and trust that everything is coming together, even though you can't quite put your finger on it. So if you like this message, like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and I'll see you all in the next one.